Welcome to Stillpoint Osteopaths. My name is Pili Munoz and I'm an osteopath. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about a common presentation that comes to our clinic here. Parents often come complaining that their babies seem to struggle with their wind. And so this might look like that their babies are squirming a lot of the time, that after feeding they tend to be really grizzly, they might arch their backs or bring their knees up to their chest a lot, and they just generally seem to not be comfortable. And crying can sometimes also be involved. So I have my little bear here today to help us out, and this is called Baby Girl. But I want to just start off by what is wind. So when a baby is breastfeeding or bottle feeding, they do take in some air at the same time that they're feeding. And so I've done this little makeshift drawing. I'm not the best drawer in the world. And here I'm just showing the esophagus that comes down from their mouth, and this is the stomach area, and this is what we call the diaphragm, which is something that we breathe with. But when they're feeding, the milk comes down their esophagus and comes into their tummy, and sort of underneath this area we get these little bubbles of air. Now we've all had a burp and it's always felt really good, so our babies often need to do the same to release this little bit of gas, okay? Sometimes that gas can make them feel uncomfortable. So how do we know when our baby needs to have a burp? So they will often kind of be quite squirmy. Sometimes they pull on and off the breast, they might pull on and off a bottle as well. These are kind of opportune times to sort of pop your baby up over your shoulder, which is a really simple way where their chin's kind of resting on your shoulder, and just giving their back a pat. So in the actual feeding process, you may find that there are times when you can actually stop and just give them a bit of time to have a little bit of a burp. You only need to sort of do this maybe 1 or 2 minutes and then let them readjust and come back onto feeding or feeding from the bottle. So during the actual feeding process, you may want to stop maybe 1 or 2 times to allow them to release the wind if they need to. Bottle feeding, they kind of recommend that between every 60 to 90 mils that you might want to stop and allow them to have a little bit of a burp and then restart the feeding process. So how to wind a baby. So this was one of the techniques where we pop them over our shoulder and you're supporting them under their bottom with your arm. You've got their chin on their shoulder, on your shoulder, so that their head's well controlled, and you just pat their back, okay? Now, a lot of people find this a little bit scary. They don't know how hard to pat the back. We don't whack our babies' backs, but we do have a firm pressure to help them sort of release the wind, and also a firm sort of rubbing pressure upwards towards their mouth area, okay? So up the back region to help them burp. Now, changing positions is always good, so if one way doesn't work, try another way, okay? So in other instances, you can pop them on your lap, where you've got your baby on your lap. You have your thumb and your index finger in this position, just supporting them under their jaw. Okay, your other hand is on their back, and in this position, even just the forward and backward rocking movement can help the gas come up and allow them to burp. And also you can pat their back in this position and rub their back upwards as well to help them with the burping process. Now, if this doesn't work, again, you can pop them over your knee. I would recommend just making sure that you're supporting their head so that their airways are clear and their tummy's got a little bit of pressure from your leg, and again, you can pat their back and rub their back. This isn't a brilliant position if your baby does a lot of spilling. If they only spill a little bit, it's a good one to try, but if your baby does a lot of spilling, you may not enjoy this position for them. And part of the process is learning what works for your baby. Okay, there is another way of burping your baby, and it's involving sideways movements. So tipping your baby's head, again, we're still supporting them under the jaw with your thumb and the index finger, and you take them sideways. Now you can do this on both sides. The stomach is on the left side, but you can go to the left, and then you can also try turning them around and going to the right side, so that you help them sort of open up the side of their body, and it helps just move the gas through there. There are some ways of doing it while they're lying on their back. And lying them down, you can use their legs to help create some pressure in their tummy area, and it again helps them move their gas by just sort of gently cycling their legs backwards and forwards. Now in this particular situation, I would say if your baby's resisting you, don't push past resistance, wait for them to relax to allow you to let the legs go forward, so you don't want to be forcing against them. So just gently and taking your time to allow them to get a bit of a burp. In this position you can also move their pelvis as well to help them release some wind. Okay. Now if your baby struggles to burp and you find that occasionally some babies don't burp a lot, but others don't burp a lot and really are uncomfortable with it, for more information about that you might want to have a read of our blog on our website, and you can get some more information about how osteopaths can help you.